Framing again, free speech is a prerequisite for any rational system that self-realization is possible even when for free. The speech is free to the Bible, space, which develop perfectly civil justice, free speech, intrinsic, instrumental, facility, democratic, personal self-government, decision-making, defense, and knowledge, truth, value, free speech, must one, competitive justification, free developed on a single foundation. Free speech is valuable and so many better make up light of British free speech is reduce all responsible religious speech is speaking to the world and adult speech also self-realization, epistemic community demands free speech, adult me at John 22, hate speech, man, free speech, self-realization, people who can't always go with good or bad or going through, moral, discovered about my letting other people, initial morality, so what do you do? When by do you know? That when you somehow really super more with people will institute by providing one education, things have to change your mind. I don't want to keep certain as well. What on the end, what I saw, one of the two different sections of media, all these points about control the government, aggression towards the rest of what we're seeing right now. This is a free speech facilitating development in more ways each routine, so should be professional directed to wire 1. Free speech is a necessary condition of realization of any community constitutional expression of your registration of any solely is an expression of professional institutional speech. Every time I say you're straight to speech in one place, you are straight everywhere. We believe free speech is the nothing like the liberty around the best speech here, what is more than the best speech, consequently, free speech is the way to every other impact is Susan 96. In the absence of freedom of expression, it is impossible to protect other rights. In the absence of free speech, it is easy for government capture media, the approach of ethnic conflict, war, genocide. It is a shortness between government such as the silence of the distance and the totality of violence, such as the steps small beginning to grow, rapidly loving over to the kind of information, how true really does believe which they must have to monitor the government's future actions to ensure accountability there, or that it has to be still racial war, they war, acts, regional, decisions, which property war there, people not ever walk war there, of course, more not propagated just one political rather than Bob, this was the necessary absence of box, which can issue over what is possible for government to, which one has supply media, plan text, public college, university, United States, to, not restrict constitutionally, protected journalist speech advantage, one stop the press, censorship student journalists was increasing the responsible time, censorship discourages questioning the government, shoe in 12 data, the American student journalist, student press, teacher reason, unless maybe just the almost reverse many case administration, other retaliation, students for government critical administration, many, super abuse of subject prior view, free speech, press all work of American higher education society, for to for less needed in the could generate no change within the entire material plus journalism, the search acceptable in the legal justification for description section 7 circuit decision applied to Hazelwood University's labs. I'll check number 2 section by administration stupid 5. College administrators like administration student press only because of matter protections if Hazelwood is allowed to create for offers and protection there is the right university administration shall post take advantage of such privacy and let's get hands off media street media video host a mandatory on the recording setting is always asking for encourage section to direct leader of the journals and entering good journals and regulation of newspapers is crucial for us to justify why we keep censorship beneath the powers that protects administrators central like it off of that. The law served protect the college of market he says stop now direction we've done because the that was free legal right protection provides our restrictions of other traffic west campus of free speech cross Aussie will new risk specific predictable for China comes with free speech on campus no exaggeration say that Aussie other decision in the call legally to media advantage to issue as I don't take advantage of it allows on freedom of speech to experiment the subject about the and got the brush social grid under them other Aussie there's no reason there is no reason to believe this only limited to the cultural hospital preparation for community college Japanese colleges will be provided universities are the most important setting for activity or negative evidence written about the context of it of the university of recommended in front of the potential the constitution so we'll a little more drive more control different national settings and public university bearer a lot of business university personnel financial liberty law frequency partners and publication additional right starting the university of the Greek pharmacy lunch libraries a better way to schools and teams or restrictions of public college and campus free speech all the teaching one can offer 5 the essential freedom to media and university self-evident and was certain a lot of one of those leader in our college and whatever to our nation students was always great for you part to gain maturity and understanding will stagnate that the dissemination rate is on all kids may shut off may not be shut off and say advantage to civic engagement essential for journalism because civic engagement March 12.1 it is hypocritical for cultural limits when they support civic engagement while intimidating journalists student feel like say about the to talk about journalism family you talk about moving sport editorial independent to run a news coverage student operation for constitution right engaged in most critical questions becoming engaged in speaking automatic support student media participants are the right to speak to show free press will always be guaranteed civic engagement is vital internal to solving every existential problem and try to act the affirmative small mistakes. Confronting global warming, global supervisors, global crimes that requires cooperation, existence of the vulnerability to act, adapt to the fear of which given soldier professional alienation viruses will rapid control for life warming, will destroy ecosystem, air pollution will, of course, capital reason, will make a better design chemicals will, and better works, work, transformation of education, youth, no works, about these effective will challenge, because convincing the use of these systems of potential for changing, encouraging civic engagement, social justice in terms of until we are stalled, and Trump victory proves the case to decide every K, failure to practice civic engagement, costs right, we take your rewarding on the 8. Democracies are heading to a period in which populist movements on legislative governments, especially the American future, not to permit electoral scientific system, feel little trouble for storming above moral status, which left academic structural, make acceptable company back up, manage storming will make this super achievable, appropriate intervention, charging short prosperity people who wonder where exactly academic political obligation, national focus of report more to a material climate down, from their books and level structure, which one makes us American political structure, CPS, we don't have to follow philosophers, one way to look to system which is practically structural approaches engagement, from practice procedure, liberties, theoretical motivations, under view, censorship is based in PR, and funding concerns not student well-being, protest solvency, often sure, 12.83 is an additional what best we conservative with basic change or article, this is exactly the point everyone does see plenty of more social media, the way school better, environmental opportunities, if you were to learn to do just the nature of the other one opposite institutions or any concept on crisis, and it's all that all these if you like social, all the structure new are coming well, but university not instructing you students in a purpose of putting it at risk, all material is all fighting the global democracy, rather than oppressive unconstitutional the third section of material, and exactly the American experimental democracy is setting rigorous protection.
Content last card.
So you didn't read the last part?
Yep.
And you read everything else?
Yep.
What's the standard text?
There is another one.
So how do we evaluate what often matters?
So our argument is that free speech is valuable, but we should sort of prioritize consequentialist offense because free speech is simply sort of a gateway to moral questions. In
Wait,
other words,
where do you justify consequentialism?
So our argument is that free speech is a gateway to sort of general moral issues. But hold on, I think the Eberly evidence indicates that free speech is set on sort of a complex set of justifications. Our argument is
I'm not even asking about free speech. I'm asking about consequentialism. Where do you justify it?
Okay, so to finish, our argument is that free speech is based on a complex set of justifications and that independent of sort of consequences is valuable. However, all of our offense is consequentialist, and we read reasons why consequentialism, or at least is irrelevant calculus.
Are you going to tell me those reasons, or are you going to talk about free speech?
So the D'Souza evidence indicates that sort of the prioritization of free speech is key. It's the last card in the framework is key to resolve problems in the real
this card
world,
just says that
which are
prioritizing free speech has good consequences. Where do you justify that we care about about consequences?
So the D'Souza evidence makes the claim that consequences are important because we should care about things like poverty, war, these types of things.
Where does read me the line in the evidence that specifically says that consequences matter?
So the evidence, hold on. Without free speech, however trivial, deny people the information they must have in order to monitor governments and act to ensure accountability. These are undoubted connections between access information and war arguments that the question of information, one that would obviously be relevant in any moral calculus, is one that is key to sort of consequential things. You can feel like consequences absolutely don't matter. I just don't think that's
whatever. So, like, repression impacts would link into the AC framework then?
Yep.
The AC framework. Okay, cool. So, how do we resolve these like broad claims about like free speech always being a prerequisite when the app is so specific about a specific type of free speech?
Right.
How about let's frame the question in a different way? Are there certain restrictions on free speech which is legitimate? Is the right to free speech absolute?
So the Eberly evidence indicates that speech is intrinsically valuable because it allows for the discovering of other moral sort of arguments. The Dalmia evidence says we don't know.
Is all speech like vital to this discovery? Like I'm sure there's some speech that doesn't actually help us reach political conclusions, right?
No. So the Dwyer evidence says that all speech is in some way allows people to express themselves, which is sort of the internal into.
But is all expression inherently valuable? Like this talks about how we need to reach like an effective consensus of truth. What if we have speech that doesn't contribute to that consensus?
I don't know what kind of speech wouldn't contribute.
Like what if someone just like ran around this tournament yelling the N-word at the top of their lungs? Like why is that necessary to like determine what the truth is?
Well, we would know that they are a racist. We would know that we probably shouldn't do that. We would be able to talk about how we shouldn't do those things. All of these things are constrained by speech. You can be like, oh, there's some speech that we should prioritize, but one, our evidence makes it pretty, the D'Souza card makes a pretty clear slippery slope argument. The second is that all of our arguments say that because epistemic humility is true, that we don't know automatically what moral systems are correct. We should prioritize independent free speech. What's the order?
Sorry, okay, let me just send speech director off. Two off. Yeah, bye. Thank you for your help. Two off. Two off. Case turned down. Live line. I would recommend filling the jump on a separate piece of paper, but you.
Wait, sorry. Two off, then.
Two off, then jump on case turns like you overview the app. I don't know how you want to spell that.
Okay.
But and then what do I call it? Live line. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Okay. Everyone ready? Judges, you ready? Wait. Argentina. Oh no, you're here. Okay.
Nice save.
Okay, good. Let's get that.
You moved.
Yeah, I did.
You good? Is anyone not ready? First of all, TA interpretation on the data specific to topic gas not specify a single type of constitution that access is not restricted as a negative period item. Any is an indefinite cabinet amendment one. Any can be an negative period item. One item from any previous we have two out of any previous example. One is open any specification example who is not related to any is an indefinite and any could be restoration of acceptance cabinet amendment two. Any could be reduced to exception could be out of potatoes type of any potatoes context of utterance has been made of qualification points and thirds. So for example, in a given context, rotten potatoes may be treated as irrelevant. Each of any instance, even rotten potatoes are a no exception. Exception. These are violations. One, specification is incompatible with any is an indefinite. Indefinite should not refer to the future or identified instantiations in McNair. Indefinite refer to moves plus specify which ones any one feature not in each has and each of them would be considered to have an feature at any purpose use any exceptions. The app itself is a single instantiation. So can from a general rule out of the exception you specify speak by journalism so that you cannot prevent any constitution of correct speech. That is a violation. See prefer. For the top of the field, college not Christian, some speak not any none or no. The app is for all constitution of your definition of it is called litigation further that capital land and want to be by your own nature, be capital land and alright, is nothing from Mary's articles inside of 812 for their analysis. High school students, the definition of serious men, source is who was litigation product of the class, we center good for whatever, and we should be also for currency, from private definitions, equal to justified interpretation of copy D, perhaps CPS, the first from the context of the only basis of privacy text and resolution 2, but if not type of permission constitution type of specified the limited number of accidents, and I speak to the hate speech, specific words and meanings specified characteristics, A, perhaps we can't have speak out each out the applicant under one app media or sharing the absolute ground class, asking tourism like the right back education shall we can't have public that's food for us basic human class community to try education also hold over the money university possibly justification medical current purpose and different potential of even in a war from the air actions multiplies and specification for the self resolution is risky problem for the app and advantage for us all the ones that we often choose we still discussing have last and actions and charge merits and he's now we got back to the board as I said that's the app about matter much discuss anyways these voters are better ways and better activities because they're really great purposes for us and our job to make a mother and the airfield to back us every so I'll shoot off the arm drop the air function to see launching the end of 20 or 90 days for them to community for our class of things to be done it's already due to every single day of using clear what is making reason we talk about or I want you to hear how many costumes first one that we achieve I make every give 80 weeks to complete that cost and we so I'll watch you to be bigger than the car watch these qualification for we to be in the air to the eyebrow man you know 500 armies education you always go along all in theory next offer T. This by these performance is a rules privilege from second all from package turn into their solvency phase academy is all nothing else restricted a system of hard base year 16 of all or asking the constitution for every feature related marketing studies to be able to care for that the purchase that equal other tax position is free up and counter rates the purchase that is internal people they are that was expensive medical market studies lobby free market capital some people are person that have capacity to spend and they advantage you that is money power it needs to pay that price that what other use as market studies completely relevant stating is proliferation microaggression the bigger pyramids all a lot of these express power purposes having that immediately impact this one straight up medical that we should actually skip that way. Go to the journal from the newspapers. Do you write any newspapers as far as that rules neoliberalism make Chesney a one globalization be possible at a global commercial media system free access technological revolution communication capital materialism system universe entering a new age social economic growth or development skepticism government positive corporate individual minimize acting my otherwise will this neoliberalism with leading to the market use new products solve problems sectors of neoliberal policies publication media communication market TV radio faculty of regulated corporate industry versus the new stage of classroom and capitalism and classical this was the first group of rationale is your impacts develop 7. Topicality is an instrument for enforcement control state that she's organized, this is your unity, so that's the law community working. This is roller for the solution manual, the nomination of the injector, the world that has 70 London math, to my sponsor, the large creative police state apparatus, conflicts and regulations, regulations, association, relation to windows, resolution rates, and so on, class society, and opportunity, equality, let's say, race, class society, Mexico, class society, the gender, the gender, and racial, ethnic, oppression, life, shady, life, when you're also a small construction line, something always your station, and has a good girl, goods, probably to try to really know, the point that every action to your face, it means that you are prioritization, facts, policy, class, government, left, to do anything, I have to government, nuclear annihilation, web, or how to find the interpretive transformation, instruments, production, mental, transformation, equality, all of periodic force, structural effects, or world system, I have to cause legal from certain thought, also as this new world, ecological degradation, our rights, foundation, person, academic, disease, better math, annihilation, energy, completely withdrawal from logic, capitalism, individual criticism, key to solve, Johnston 4, most important task, negative, ideology, person, math, alternative, other thing that the complex, further, substantive, substantial, revolutionary practices, valid principles, your discipline, please have value, really powerful, doesn't install belief in something, power, also capitalism, exists on the condition that subject believe in, and young people are capitalism, the necessary for step fighting the neoliberal orders, features 15,404, 011, article space, forming social that basis, your critical basis, people, because this is completely educated, being a resident, reform the culture, people run on, so we see your better, support, trouble, things on this side, and even trouble, very productive, and dominant episode, we see the height of desire, and actually, every market, side, really big appeal, who know what institution feel by harder promises, and now, drugs, PAC, they have severely mischaracterized Hazel, and institutions, waste, and student journalism, adult, he's put on shorthand, looking to complete discussion, in fact, the journalists pervaded they said to philosophy, the reference from agencies, with this to base on the possible to restore more sensible rights to control balance, Hazel would have a floor, not a ceiling, and some turns, skippy, more evidence, because they long-term rights, that makes my worries on welcome society turns, for free speech arguments, which, trouble to be more offensive, and undermining English and everything, they will be as someone who's equal right members of society, going to be the church, who vulnerable, who's physically and considering the brief long so under these records does the damage with the cut card there, and cause real tangible harm, fish, trouble speech, they would harm his fellow with speech acquisition made by white people, law, to see that the most choice is by equal, easy to see the penetration backwards, and what about harm, that groups in after life that can be brought up, you know, communicating their worst speech, but that's like the AC, don't recall your speech off and joke and speech off because the AC is only a very small section of a large amount of free speech, so he does not solve for all the impression that for all the arguments that free speech is conceded, and access to his extinction fact also. Now, a secondary to the framework does not have a standard definition of possible drop debate. It's the same paragraph. The developer must have a standard text. So you can shift and you can delete all my options. You can around and you have a framework, so there's no way to value resolution. That's what the plan is to be the coordinate. But this part is actually really different for you. It means that you are not taught what the good banana says that the seventh circuit decision means that censoring newspaper is constitutional. It means that it is not a form of constitutional representation, and the act is not topical. This is you cross by the use by he is a voter, cross by the parents, are the things for constitution. Constitution, that is what most legal people use. We can't just turn the constitution on our own, so we're not legal as lawyers, and it also includes French interpretation. French interpretation is top 5, not the case in argument. There's no often restitution argument. There's no specific word. That's why I have to be taught this just talks about how the nation will die. It's the metaphorical argument. Maybe that's what it's civic engagement thing. Obviously, Trump agreed with it. And deciding what that means, not even that means that civic engagement has already happened. We're not going to have none for a really long time. He said, that this is a very vague institution. In fact, we remember my Tom structural bias facts over vague general things since they were left like YouTube. You want me to just tell you what I deleted? What I didn't read?
It was you read. Hold on, you skipped the free speech link, the Morley card.
Yeah.
And then on the turn stuff, we didn't read anything under the first fish card.
Why don't I just tell you which one did I read? I read the first fish card and I read the second fish card.
Okay.
Yeah, I just read both fish cards.
We didn't read the one.
No.
Ready? Name a disad you lost as a result of the act.
The strength of link to hate speech disads is probably lower since they're like editorial concerns and things like that when it comes to journalism.
Wait, so the strength of link is slightly lower, so there's like a massive limit skew?
I mean, I just think that the disads are like way less true when we're looking at like just this very specific subset.
What aside from the hate speech disad is way less true?
I think like all of disads would be less true since the app is such a small subset of the resolution. But either way, like that's not super.
Semantics arguments. You made like a jurisdiction argument about why this is like some like a priori reason to mitigate. Because all of these, you make a like a priori reason. Because all these seem to just be like internal links to like pragmatic arguments.
Well, no, because there's a C point which says that topicality by definition means that doing it.
Wait. What you just said actually doesn't make any sense. Topicality, by definition, means you can only justify an interpretation of the topic. That is true.
Seems true.
What does that mean?
It means that we cannot advocate for a different topic. We have to defend this specific topic.
Okay.
Topicality is not
That
like
just sounds like
we
a
have
description
to
of
be
T.
more fair.
The CAPK, the first argument is about the marketplace of ideas. The app doesn't even say that word. What is it?
You do. I remember reading through the app and I saw the word marketplace of ideas.
I don't. So what is the link?
Why don't I? Okay, so the Dalmia part mentioned marketplace of ideas in the unhighlighted part.
Okay,
The Dwyer evidence says marketplace of ideas again in the big part.
So my question is, what is the link?
Evidence says
Is this quite literally
ideas.
just a link to the word marketplace of ideas?
It's rather the idea in which we think that different ideas are going to compete and the truth is going to prevail.
Okay. The newspaper stuff. This says that the reason it's bad is because when they're deregulated, they're always used for capitalist purposes. What capitalist ends does college newspapers serve?
Just the same as like normal newspapers, right? The argument is that deregulation in general doesn't serve any interest except those of the corporation.
Okay. The alt, what is it?
Okay. So the alt is that we should completely withdraw from the logic of capitalism.
I don't. What does that mean?
That we should withdraw from the logic of capitalism.
Who withdraws? Why does that resolve capitalism? Like, I don't want to be
so that's
capitalist.
the second Giro card, which talks about how young people rejecting capitalism is key. That's also the alternative card itself, which explains that we have solvency, because the only way that we can actually ever fight capitalism is to start thinking of alternatives and thinking outside of the capitalist system.
Okay, wait. What alternatives have you come up with as a result of saying reject cap?
That's not the point of the critique. The point of the critique is that if we don't say reject cap, then we can never come up with any alternative.
Okay. Why should you drop the debater on this like standard argument?
I just classify the drop the debater lines from each other.
.1 left. Just then. T case K.
By case, can you use the terms or extensions on the
It'll be, I mean, like, I flowed them all on the case. So.
Give me a second.
What are you starting?
What I mean?
What are you starting with then? The terms or?
T case K on the case, it'll be like, I guess, like app solvency stuff, then the turns.
Will be a counter check first.
Yeah. I'm going to modify the counter interp a little bit, so it's like little.
If you know it now, can you just write it for me?
Is that coherent?
Yeah.
Okay, sick.
I'm not going to read like stage terms long for grammar.
Oh no, you got quite a reputation. Ready? Yeah.
Counter interpretation, you have to defend the university and strict constitution respected newspaper speech if they rehab themselves, gotta do the law literature and read spillover evidence beyond me, we himself the identity. I think the linking off evidence, the first one is a spillover claim, solves all of your offense because you get access to all of your data, don't link to the whole rest because you still get all of the normal things. Next, scopers will get any plus limitations on object referred to but on the left. The word any other thing, anything on anything, one limitation on this folder, anything on any of any private decision majority, or any certain law to be the question there, or the last few things all from anyway, or anything like anything, the one any, what's the application of the objects, the literature, and then apply to them, outweighs all the offenses, sort of need each other, like general, what, the word anything, but are these very specific contexts is key, you should refer, our definition comes from the Supreme Court, which is obviously a more relevant action when it comes to free speech questions, the net benefits versus clash talking, speech of tell students I think you have different responsibilities and freedom violations and circumstances laws like which successfully considered speech and arguments still has places there keeps all real world issues around respectful people appear to say a second is fixed it is possible to get into a deep fix on something because there's literally no answer to this the Holocaust and I'll break jokes which means we need to go to assess it because otherwise we'll auto lose every single time I always wonder on the team it's a little bit harder to negate your world it's quite literally possible to from your interpret also you need to alter predictable your limits on it because there ain't no small negative after picks which is no basic prevalent is not unique I always use 764 times to the intro proper first I need our evidence says that we defend all kinds of speeches in a specific context means we meet your interpretation and because there's still all things next the ability grammar first arguments all these are central links to a pragmatic standard we or when you go to a clear arguments as to why our pragmatics outweigh that is the limit topics but the only sort of argument is like topicality is a question of definitions. Yes, it is a question of what the topic is. Our argument is that this is what the topic should be, and also we're trying to show which means there's at least some amount of unclarity as to what grammar means. The limits argument is solved by the fact that there's still a reference in the TBAs that doesn't tell me how the Pixar are the Pixar arguments still in this case. Going for the second advantage, should have conceded all the internal links. The college center is going up now. This is the first human evidence, the first advantage. The Roman evidence instead of culture knows what's key to civic engagement. We need about young people need to go to write about learn about the other world. This quality succeeded says that this resolving every single existential threat means we control internally to all of your offense. All of the case all the succeeded here only are the only arguments at the end of these theories first say this drop debater argument don't drop debater one the drop debater ones are across like one is for severance we didn't separate things we're not reading anything another next argument is about time stupid you didn't really spend any time making these arguments you should drop debater the next argument is top quality claim you misunderstand our human evidence says the state specific First Amendment issue the Hosty decision did not ever say it was unconstitutionally protected only that it's only that it's not only that the way in which it's censored is protected the terms. The original evidence is explained above is the same argument as the Seventh Circuit Division across all those arguments. There is no hate speech in journalism, which doesn't resolve anything. Also, extinction outweighs marginal hate speech cap. the entirety of the second advantage is literally, again, I turn to the avoiding evidence to say negative representation says civic engagement is necessary or to resolve problems, otherwise we just right, we take over free speech on campus, execute social pedagogy, sparking radical justice and capitalism, multiple wars, workers' liberty, 15, and university campus, have a way with examples, aside from free speech debating, zero radicals resist, radical social multiple circular, we should move to the Adjudication campus, of the university through authority central, the government's one university, the thing like cultural campus, we saw increasing commercialization versus space cluster style, there's no link to the argument, the first link is just about a marketplace of ideas. We just say extinction is bad, because the evidence is about a capitalist or a cap interest one. That's not the case for all students. So you can see the last Schumann card, which is that all of our arguments are
It's, I read everything, I rephrased the ground standard, and everything.
I think I used 230 to anyone confirm.
240.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I'll take 156 right now. So on the critique, you read the card and you said AC terms of critique, and then you confirmed.
Yeah. Oh, and case laws.
Did you respond to the paragraph theory against your lack of reading the standard?
Yep.
What was it?
The arguments were there's no in-round abuse as an overview. The arguments were do not drop the debater. The standards you classified, one is about severance. You can't sever out of something because you didn't read. The second argument you classified was about how you spent time reading the shell, so it needs to be like made up. You didn't spend like any more than like 2 seconds making the arguments that want to be dropped.
But you like concede the drop the debater for the T shells.
So the argument is that all of your warrants for drop the debater are like maybe relevant to T, but they're absolutely not relevant to this.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense. What was your response to the mini paragraph T?
So you misunderstand how the court works. The Hosty decision at no point, the Hosty decision at no point said that First Amendment speech is not constitutionally protected. Argument evidence explicitly says it's a massive First Amendment issue. The Hosty decision simply said
that's
that.
my precedent. I don't want to say that.
No.
Order is going to be T, so inter, counter, AC proper real quick, critique, and then critique, terms, and then back to AC.
Wait, hold on. T, you say you're starting on the counter insert?
No, inter, counter. You want me to read the order? Okay, so T, inter, counter, AC as in the extension of this, so AC just popped down, critique, term. Sorry. Adam, you good?
Yeah.
Judges, you good? Is anyone not ready? Go to the interpretation of the definition of the specifies the question of the big mistake. Evidence conceded in my interpret is the only evidence essentially conceded the grammar argument is go to definition is particularly awful. Now go to the arguments in the interpretation. Go to the grammar standard extend the first argument that you violate your interpretation of definition and he doesn't want to put a negation in front of it. Even we assume that the Supreme Court thinks that any specific instances if you say not specific instances that would mean that we have to you have to prove that all specific instances are bad. That's not speech. So violate the shell. You say that you need to do not allow any type of journalist speech. That does not matter because you're still specifying any type of constitutional protected speech, i.e. this constitutional protected is speech by journalists. This I mean is absolutely dumb. So you can send a violation. You definitely violate are really, really important. The fact that you've conceded all of these arguments is why I have 100% strictly background pragmatic consideration that even a little bit of clash up is any of the standards the reason why you can negate all theory on a team. So it's something we're talking that is better devised by negation of the topic was still predictability and rational statistics. It's the last argument price. You see, yes, the first argument of the topic. Perhaps your arguments are true and exactly what it is for this tournament. The only stable basis of preparation is the text for us is the text for resolution. So we have to be talking about there's no way I can predict that you're going to be this narrow journalist. There's no, I know I can predict that you're going to be this narrow journalist map. I'm also going to send the limits arguments and that you can read a bunch of narrow shape facts that are just trivially true. You have conceded that this makes that this also makes it negating and possible that this means that you did that will kill around most of that means that there's a bad engagement, which means that I can talk to the internally control of your engagement arguments. Also said that over limiting actually now let's go to the counter entry. Off this goes up, one you should not don't refer to Supreme Court position because it's not any sign of legal term rather constitution protected is a legal term. You should definitely prefer the anti-evidence. Now let's go to that's what the clashing we talk about particularly back in England and Turkey. I have so many articles on topic where we at the start we've talked about when we talked about this. The second time we talk about free speech in general, you could have read I feel like you could have read talking about free speech, you could have read arguments by legal perspective, because you could have read specific clarifications about how constitution protected speech functions, the status quo, that you would not have to specify the unique reason why the specification is necessary. You say that the applicants for the A one things are always theoretically illegitimate. That's a separate bunch of people are not being all topics about some degree of things. We should theory that or figure out how to be done. You can have principal responses space, for example, you can have technical competition arguments, or you can read a philosophy or critical or in fact we need a skill of arguments, the reason why you left that against it. Not only your skill of argument, A one topicality the evidence for topicality is not your solvency evidence that your skill over stuff does not matter at all. Second, you make a skill argument, you can skill over because you can pick and choose what skill over arguments you are reading your skill over argument is generic enough to cover all types of free speech. The link is still lower. There's no way I could have predicted that my dissatisfaction to spill over and not just free speech in general. It's still a different argument from the entire of the topic. This very weak mitigatory that it doesn't matter at all. You see that there's a really small net that says you can just outweigh this really small. This has no impact here. So overview. What on the grammar stuff? It's pretty clear that outweighs. He has conceded a bunch of weighing arguments. I have 100% making them. I'm only doing meta weighing between the weighing arguments that we are making. So prefer the grammar first weighing. The SCOTUS interest doesn't make any sense. Why would we prefer the Supreme Court if it's not a legal issue? Now let's go to the AC. He extends the second advantage to extend that your Trump means that civic engagement arguments are not engaged. You won't have an election for the next 4 years. Might be still the argument, but it is conceded 100% to a non-claim that there's severe mitigation on this contention. That is the reason why you shouldn't prefer any weighing arguments for this specific contention. Even if this contention might be truly strict, this contention is so small that the impact no matter you barely access your impact, so it will be that your leveraging of this contention does not make any sense at all. It's also because your standard theory extend the interpretation that you have to have a standard text of apostleship. You said that you extend the drop debater. You're arguing against high results. You stand defending time. So yes, I have about 30 seconds in which I and it was really structural problem because the round has been skewed because I had to invest some time in this open. The round has been utterly different. If you had just been fair, we could not pretend that the abuse happened. You can pull the trigger on theory there, but now it's supposed to be because you have considered the marketplace of ideas and extended the marketplace of ideas and your argument that we can reach some kind of truth that we can reach some kind of better understanding the marketplace of ideas is bad. And you said it just like this teaching is bad. Command at marketplace of ideas. And he says it all the time. Also, the second argument is that Leigh is also talking about how you think that we can use marketplace of ideas, we can solve things for problems that capitalism assumes that we can't do anything because the modern reasons are not actually able to solve things. It's also reason why the K controls the internal links of the AC. The only way we have reasons we get rid of capitalism. So now you can extend the Cobell evidence that completely relates to all questions that weigh for why it's contradictory. That if I would even risk the way to the capitalist, that is a reason why capital is conceded weighing for capitalism is the most important thing. And that's what to the alternative extent. He draws that we should completely properly logic capitalism. Your work is absolutely awful. The links function is the links function is extended for me. Definitely still linking. Now let's go to your workers liberty card. This assumes that we're going to have perfectly free speech. However, you have conceded the link which says that we are not having perfectly free speech in the past. The speech is substituted by capitalism. That you're that this argument is out. It's absolutely no sense that they're not even the alternative source for this. This alternative source for this is against red capitalism. Would mean that we don't need to have university. We don't need to have university movement. The alternative is the only way that we can actually even think of what those movements would be like. They're controlled internally. So overview on where you can go. Or vote on the standards theory. His response to drop the adjudicator is not sufficient. Or you can vote on the critique. The leveraging of the AC offense doesn't apply. You can see it's conceded a reason for why civic engagement arguments are not engaged. It might be a silly argument, but it was conceded.
How long do I have left? 114. Right.
You used 121.
No, I had 121.
Oh, okay.
Question. It'll be theory of the case,
By theory, you mean T.
yeah, sorry.
You know, intuitive or counter.
Counterintuitive first.
It's a T case.
T case critique. Ready?
Any is obviously a legal term. Our evidence explicitly says that Supreme Court cases have been hinged on the meaning of the word any, which means it is obviously a legal term. There's also absolutely no substantiation to why it would not be legal term. We also understand any for definition the threshold for this should be the highest possible. We read specific evidence why in the context of the legal system the word any means something different than otherwise. The Supreme Court ruled any in the context of court cases should be used this way, which means our interpreters need all internal to all the grammar arguments. You literally don't extend any of your definitions, which means you should know all that on this, which means grammar flows out. We win this debate even if it comes first, but if not the clash arguments. So you say that there are lots of whole rest arguments. Those are really shitty debates because you miss a ton of things. For example, free speech applies to different people in different ways, which means that even yes, if you can have shallow, terrible debates and ignore all the flaws with them, it doesn't mean there are better debates. Our arguments, we just have better debates in the world of our internet. You say there's still lots of arguments we can make. Yes, that may be true, but it's a question of being able to clash those arguments. It's not a question of how much ground there is. It's a question of being able to one shift and two having quality debates over things that make coherent sense, not just random arguments that just sort of thrown at each other. You can see that this outweighs all of your fears on things. It affects more people. The only argument that we engage with this is sort of like a random engagement style, like extension on the original shell code there. Now I think it's on the limits argument. You say that the limits argument causes bad engagement. You can see that this spillover solves all of your offense. I guess I'll answer spillover here. There are two arguments here. First, you say the plan is destroys topicality, but under our interim, everyone would read spillover evidence, which means it is just a question of norm setting. It means you don't get answer your offense. The next argument is I can't think and choose spillover evidence, but that's nonsense. Everyone would read spillover to the whole rest. Because there's only one kind of spillover, which means it's also your offense. The limit standard goes away. Moreover, the question about ways because it's a sort of specific question over what we talk about means limits about irrelevant consideration. The case debate, the first theory argument, you have conceded the first argument, there's no same kind of use and shit out of any of your arguments, because it goes away, but even so, you only extend this on the task argument, you're like, I spent 30 seconds on it, that's a structural problem. No, it's not, it's a 30-second argument that you trying to go for into 2 hours, it's a throwaway debate argument, but obviously, there's no abuse here, you shouldn't put on it. The advantage to being you conceded internal and a lot of evidence indicates that a student journalism is key to civic engagement, which is necessary for things like these. The small evidence does not say we need to vote in elections. It says we need to engage in things of concerning the government. For example, writing to our congressman, all this in the small part a call for it. It says nothing about elections. The only part that's about elections is the already evidence. And this is not an elections claim. This is a seeds of political thing. It's conceded in both speeches. They're standing on the case. So go there now. There isn't a link to the K. Literally, her argument in the last speech was command F marketplace of ideas. That is irrelevant. The app does not say that we should use marketplace to do things. It simply says that newspapers are good to solve a distinction. The permutation is not beneficial. The Rory argument indicates you see the political makes it possible to solve capitalism because it always resolve the right we take over. Only the permutation of doing the app which is able to challenge capitalism and the alternative together is key to solve it. It's conceded throughout the entire round. You lose.
Yeah. I see your Wyatt card, the one about the counter information card.
Yeah. Can I see the card actually? Thank you. So and what the worry. So we're just waiting on the decision. Before the judges announce the decision, I'd like to get this room put back in the proper shape. So if we could quietly, those of us that are not involved in making a decision on the final round, those of us who are not judges, could put the desks back in order and pick up any trash around us. I will ask the judges to hold on to this closing round until this room is put back in order.
Quick question, what is the proper order for the desks?
Basically, these desks have to go over here.
It's basically
so
to
that,
you.
so that this side looks like that side. And that side's like this.
Thank you.
Is anyone here going to see anyone from Lynbrook at some point in the near future? I have their flashlight.
If I end up going to Michael Harris, it's not the best, but Celine was my right left, so we'll see.
I'll just.
Yeah, just keep it. It's probably the best thing.
I also have a couple pizzas left. If anybody is still hungry. We would love for people to take food with them, so it does not have to find its way into the trash or my refrigerator. So anybody is at all hungry, on your way out, please pass through the lounge. Thank you.
Yeah, purchase.
Okay, yeah, I know, but still, also, yes, I was like, my train ticket is outside today, so it's way too big. You all want that this is final. We would have the same conversation.
like the whole day shot.
It says, like, for the other judges, that why not disagree with another judges on sides, which means someone like flip the sides. Not sure.
Still in play.
Yeah.
Okay, so congrats, multipliers. That's a 2-1 decision for the negative.
So I sat. Okay. So the first thing was capitalism critique, and there was really light coverage of this debate on both sides. The reason I decided affirmative here was that so the one link argument is this like marketplace thing and you go for the argument that control F yields some uses of the word marketplace in the app, and I don't think that term is particularly relevant. The way that we say it's capitalist is we use it to solve things, but it can't solve things. Like that's the argument I flowed, and I don't think the explanation is much deeper than that. Exactly why that constitutes capitalism, and I think the affirmative's explanation that it's not, it doesn't, that the affirmative's advantage doesn't rely on the same sort of the marketplace metaphor does, is correct. And I'm not sure why saying free speech necessary to solve extinction is capitalist. The other argument I looked at was this case that the alternative solves the case argument that decreasing capitalism is necessary to solve free speech. I think that in the absence of a very strong link argument, the affirmative being able to solve the affirmative better than the alternative alone outweighs the risk that the affirmative is capitalist. So I vote for the permutation. The case debate, yeah, I'm not going to vote for this with the theory argument. And I mean, it depends on the other judges, but I think you could spend less time on this. I probably would not have voted for it at all, even if it was dropped in the 2AR. Then the topicality argument is where I had the most trouble. So first, the argument that I think the affirmative misses is this response to the counter-interpretation that it's not predictable to just stipulate that the app has to make a spillover claim. I think that's probably the most persuasive argument against the claim that the counter-interpretation solves, so that's something the affirmative should respond to in 2AR. The grammar offense I didn't see as very relevant because the way it was debated in this round implied that, or the argument was just that if it's completely not grammatical, then that's bad. But beyond that, I don't think there's much of an impact having a slightly better or slightly worse interpretation. So the question is just whose interpretation produces better debates. The negatives offense is this argument that it leads to worse engagement because first, the affirmative can say things that are trivially true, and second, that it just worsens negative ground because it leads to unpredictable small affirmatives that the negative will not have preparation against. I think the 2AR should have gone for the Picks argument first, but also I think that so the app extends this argument that leads to bad debates because free speech affects different people in different ways, and addressing the topic as a whole doesn't give an accurate treatment to the sort of particular ways that free speech doctrine actually plays out. I think this argument, so the reason I thought this argument outweighed the lack of, the decreasing clash is, first, I don't think there's much of a, explanation of, what ground is lost. So first of all, the counter-interpretation, I think, solves this argument that, the affirmative can read arguments that are trivially true because they have to read a spillover claim, so, you get to contest the other things that the app spills over to. So even if it's, trivially true that, journalism ought to be protected, there are disads to other forms of physical on-campus speech, for example, being bad. I just think that the arguments that the negative is not able to predict and compare against the affirmative are not very well impacted out by the negative. It's not clear what ground the negative loses, why that ground is valuable, or why how many plans are added to the topic that means the negative truly can't keep up. There is a pretty good explanation of why reading a whole resolution affirmative fails to give an accurate and meaningful treatment to the resolution. And finally, there's this app shifts argument that's also not very well fleshed out by the app. But I think that does also turn this negative clash argument because there's an incentive for the affirmative to just not respond to negative arguments and instead say that their whole res app doesn't actually include a link to this particular disad rather than engaging with those arguments.
Yeah, sure. So starting the T debate, I think I'll say this for the 20th time in this tournament. I don't feel comfortable enough in the T debate to pull trigger there because of the fact that I did incredibly muddle, but also I did evaluate it. I think that you're winning that it's pragmatics. Pragmatics come first. However, the app is winning an argument the kind of my definition is legal, therefore it outweighs. There's conceded weighing on that issue. Because of the lack of weighing between fairness and education in the last few pages, I think it just becomes somewhat easier for me to decide that okay, pragmatics come first when there are arguments that are extended to that. And then, so like that kind of gives a way out of the topicality debate. So I ended up like evaluating substance. I don't think that the theory argument on case is like extended enough or like developed enough. I think it's like barely just underdeveloped. Like I was very close to actually pulling the trigger on this, like as shitty as that is. But I think that I just don't have like you have a reason as to why you should drop the beta, because like I think that like yeah, the round has been skewed. It doesn't matter how much time you spent on it, as long as you did spend like time on it, I guess. But the fact is that like I don't really have like a standards type argument. You just say like must have a standard text. You don't really like give any explanation as to why it's bad in 2NR. So I don't feel comfortable pulling the trigger. So then I go to the K. I think that like I don't have like a clear extension of the C political argument in the 2NR. Like which means like if I missed it, then it probably wasn't developed enough for me to fill on that turn. I think that at that point, yeah, sorry, also I'm like kind of scattered around on the case debate as well. I think that there is a functionally conceded argument that says that civic engagement is not unique. You kind of go over this in the 2AR and you're like, well, it's not about elections, but that argument wasn't in the 1AR. So I think I have to give like details on this issue, which means that you have literally no option for offense, except for the season of the political argument, which is I just explained, I don't have like a very clear extension of the 2NR. So I don't feel comfortable pulling the trigger on that. So I think that based on a risk of offense on the Kafka, I should go there.
So on topicality, the way I evaluate this is I actually liked kind of the arguments from both sides about your interpretations and why each one's better. But I think ultimately the affirmative is winning the counter here, just because it's like it does seem to given this context, it's like these legal definitions ought to be preferred, which I think is going to solve some of those grammar arguments, and also insofar as Brian said, the pragmatic standard kind of stuff kind of doesn't get debated well or enough in this round, insofar as there are arguments that can vote for that sort of thing. There, I think some of the extended clash arguments probably outweigh those other arguments, the negative things. So then I can go on T. Then onto the K debate, I think I evaluate this very similar to Brian. I think there is some sort of link, at least. The way I understand this kind of marketplace of ideas thing is more like not using the phrase marketplace of ideas, and if that's the link, then I think you all need to clarify that a lot more. But I see it more as this idea of civic engagement being this thing, that it like more this ideological thing as, you know, something that can, you know, be useful or progressive is what is the link to the critique. And I think there is at least some risk of link there. Also, I feel like some of these arguments on capitalism, the Covell evidence and the Johnson evidence, I think tell me why it's important, but also in terms of just the civic engagement in general, why I don't think small is going to like be this groundbreaking things. It seems like the CAPK contextualizes what civic engagement is and what like good or bad civic engagement looks like under capitalism or the world of the alternative. So I don't think you get to just leverage that to take out the critique. And then I feel like there's probably
Thank you.